Now, with the current events in the war of Gaza, right, Israel was preparing to commit a genocide, which, according to some sources, 48% of the area of Gaza has been destroyed, and the only safe place for the people who get refuge for embassy has also been destroyed. And remember, the majority of the population are children. So Israel is going to commit a genocide against minors of all things. Sadly, this is not the first time that Israel as a country has committed crimes against humanity and war crimes. Before the Russian invasion of Ukraine, there's been evidence of Israel giving arms to neo-Nazis. And also, after World War II, many of these Nazis in the Holocaust also joined Mossad, the Israeli intelligence division. But instead of going back, we have to look back why Israel has committed these war crimes. But of course, it's based on imperialism, colonialism, and no state, and their own form of prejudice of anybody who isn't an Ashkenazi Jew, particularly. So even other Jews, like the Ethiopian Jews, the Samaritans, etc., are also not safe. Let's look, for example, at the overlooked crimes and awful things that Israel as a country has done. One, the Balfour Declaration in 1917 was a letter of British support toward Lord Rothschild for the Zionist aim to establish a Jewish state in Palestine, which at that point in time was already inhabited by the natives. It was highly controversial as the declaration was made by European powers regarding a non-European territory in flat disregard of both the present and wishes of the native majority of the territory. Upon the start of the mandate, the British facilitated the immigration of Jews to Palestine. The British disarmed the Palestinian people from 1936 to 1939 during the Great Arab Revolt, while turning a blind eye to the illegal immigration by European Jews and the procurement of arms, greatly hindering the Palestinians in the future Arab-Israeli war. In 1939, the British altered its policy, setting a limit of 75,000 further immigrants and ending the immigration by 1944, unless the native Palestinians of the region consent to further immigration. Sorry, the Zionists condemned the new policy, accusing Britain of favoring the Arabs. This point was made new by the outbreak of World War II and the founding of Israel in 1948. There's also the assassination of Jacob Israel Dehaan in 1924, a Dutch Jewish diplomat, for attempting to make a peace deal with the Emir of Mecca. His plan was a Palestinian state in a Jordanian federation. The Zionists would jump the Balfour Declaration and any claim to the state in exchange for unrestricted immigration. He was assassinated while leaving a synagogue by Abraham Tehuin, who admitted to it much later, on the orders of Giselle Beck-Smith, who later became the second president of Israel. There's also the Patria disaster in 1940, was the sinking of French building SS Patria by the Zionist paramilitary group Haganah, killing 267 people and injuring 172. Patria was carrying about 1,800 Jewish refugees from Europe, from which British authorities were deported from Palestine to Mauritius because they lacked entry permits. Zionist organization opposed the deportation, so Haganah planted a bomb intended to disable the ship, prevent it from leaving Haifa. After Irgun's attempt to plant a bomb was unsuccessful, they claimed to have miscalculated the effects of the explosion, causing the SS Patria to sink. There's also the King David Hotel bombing in 1946, where right-wing Zionist terrorists attacked a British HQ located within the hotel, killing 91 people and injuring 46. The leader of the perpetrator, Menachem Begin, became the Prime Minister of Israel in 1977. There's also the Deir Yassin massacre in 1948, and there were 170 villagers, including women, the elderly, and children, were slaughtered by the Zionist paramilitary groups. The first-hand account included a report of a quote-unquote young fellow tied to the tree and set on fire, a woman or old man shot in the back, and girls lined up against a wall and shot with a submachine gun. Some members of the perpetrators were at a later time absorbed into the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force. One, Mekane Beni, became the Prime Minister of Israel. He later stated in his book, "Without what was done and the desire, there would not have been a state of Israel." There's also the Palestinian exodus of Nakba in 1948, was the expulsion of 700,000 Palestinian Arabs from their homeland during the war and establishment of Israel in May 1948. There's even a movie about that where the people of Israel protested. They wanted the movie to be banned. You can actually watch it on Netflix. Link in the description. These include the testimony of massacres, rapes, looting, and during and immediately following the state creation, Israel expropriated approximately 4,244,776 acres of Palestinian land. There's also the Abu Shusha massacre in 1948, where a village was attacked by Kiryati Brigade during the Operation Barak. During the attack, Haganah soldiers were reported to have attempted to rape a 20-year-old female prisoner twice. The Israeli historian Ariel Yizaki explained the events as a massacre. A book by Israeli political scientist Meron Benvenisti mentioned that in 1995, a mass grave with 52 skeletons was discovered in Abu Shusha, but their cause of death is undetermined. More recently, research conducted by Princeton University, mostly on the basis of interviews with former residents, suggested that between 60 to 70 residents were killed. There's also the Linda massacre in 1948, led by Balmach, considered the tip of the spear during the war, the establishment of the IDF. During Operation Danny, which the ultimate goal during the Arab-Israeli war was to gain control of the road to Jerusalem. Kenneth Bilby was the city at the time. He rode the Israeli Jeep column, raced into Lita with rifles, stand and submachine guns blazing. It coursed through the main streets, blasting at everything that moved. The corpses of Arab men, women, and even children were strewn about the streets in the wake of this ruthless, brilliant charge. The raid lasted 47 minutes, leaving 100 to 150 Palestinian Arabs dead, according to Moshe Daina's 89th Battalion. Johann Goldberg described what followed as probably the bloodiest massacre of the war. Moshe Kelman ordered troops to shoot at any clear target, including anyone seen on the street. Israeli soldiers threw grenades into the house that they suspect snipers were hiding in. Residents who ran out of their homes in panic were shot. Jeruha Cohen, an IDF intelligence officer, said around 250 died between 11:30 and 14 hours. In 2013, testimony provided to Sokroch, General Shimon Kahanovich, a Palmach soldier present at the scene, stated he himself, amid the shadow of the mosque, had fired Piat anti-tank missile with enormous shockwave impacted inside the mosque, where Palestinians were taking refuge in, and examining afterwards found the walls scattered with the remains of people. He also stated that anyone straying from the flight trail was shot dead. This event was also confirmed by Binyamin Roskin, was also a Palmach soldier from the Yishav Brigade. According to Boris, thousands died in the mosque, including the unarmed men, women, children, and even eyewitness published a memoir in 1998, saying they had removed 95 bodies from one of the mosques. And there's Dr. Klaus Dreyer of the IDF Medical Corps complained on the 15th of June that there were still corpses lying in around Lita, which constitute a health hazard and a moral and aesthetic issue. Sorry. There's also a document from the IDF archives in 1948, which translate, and I quote, in the village lying between Nahraya and Tashiha, there are no foreign troops for the time being. The village are armed and ready for action. Your orders are to occupy, kill the men, destroy and burn down the villages of Capri, Uma al-Farha, and Annar. End quote. Ian Pepper notes that villagers had no proper arms, only for hunting purposes, and people who served in the police without error tools that were absent they stood no chance. In April 1948, the intelligence of the Haganah defined men as anyone above the age of 10. There's also the assassination of Foke Bernadotte in 1948, a UN mediator for Palestinian refugees by Israeli Zionist paramilitary group Lehi. The killing was approved by Free Men's Center of Lehi, one of which, after the assassination, became the seventh Prime Minister of Israel, Shishak Shamir. No one was convicted from the assassination. There's also the Atawalima massacre in 1948. A court after the town was occupied by the ADS 1949 Commando Battalion. According to the village leader, IDF troops fired indiscriminately for over an hour, during which time many fled. On returning to the day with other villagers, 60 bodies were found in the mosque, mostly elderly men. Numerous corpses of men, women, and children lay in the streets. 80 bodies of men, women, and children were found in the entrance of Esake Kabir. According to the IDF soldier, and I quote, the first warrior conquerors killed about 80 to 100 men, women, and children. The children they killed by breaking their necks with sticks. There was not a house without dead. First commander ordered his men to put two old women in the house and blew it up. One soldier boasted they had raped a woman then shot her. One woman with a baby in her arm was employed to clean the courtyard where the soldiers ate. She worked a day or two. In the end, they shot her and her baby. Ankle. There's also the South Massacre in 1948. After the Upper Galilee village surrendered to the IDF, 54 to 62 villagers had their hands tied, shot dead, and buried in a pit. There were also three reports of rape, including the rape and murder of a 14-year-old girl. Joseph Nagami, senior officer of the Haganya as well as the director of the Jewish National Fund, confirmed this incident in his diaries. There's also the Hula Massacre in 1948, occurred in the village of Lebanon, where, according to the IDF superior, 35 to 58 men at the age between 15 to 60 posed no resistance, surrendered immediately after executed by two IDF officers with a submachine gun, and the house blew up on top of them as revenge for separate incidents that men had nothing to do with. There's also another document for the IDF archives. The context, the villagers from Palestinian rural areas have begun to put up resistance for Zionist attack, including by attempting to return to villages from which they had earlier been expelled. These unauthorized returns led to turn to the staging of two more ethnic cleansing operations. Others from Operation 40. Number 1. Intel. There is evidence of movement of civilian Arabs from Gaza northwards with the village Majah. The Arabs resisted in several villages and had settled there. All forces in Majah, forces of the military administration, Navy squad at the Judah police station, and the 11th Brigade forces at Beit Hanun. 2. Mission. Expulsion of the Arab villages from the mentioned villages and denial of their return once again by demolishing their houses. 3. Method. A. Survey the villages: Hamana, Jura, Kibet, Kishas, Nidiyah, Al-Hisha, Barbara, Bial, Hichar, Nidiyah, Diyar, Sultan, and get all the residents. Load them of vehicles and deport them to Gaza. They need to be transported beyond our lines to Beit Hanun. B. In Majaz, separate between the local residents and the refugees and deport the refugees as mentioned above. C. Burn down the villages and destroy the stone houses. D. Expecting the refugee to check that they had not been infiltrated by the enemy scout and arresting those. E. Surveying the refugee ways of movement and laying mines in these routes. There's also the testimony of Sid Steckel, a former IDF officer, battalion and deputy commander of the Nahal. After the war in 1948, as a commander of strategist Gush Yovov area, Sid took PM Ben Pion and Chief of Staff Moshe Danyan on a tour. During the tour, he was ordered by Danyan to build a crescent off the top of the mosque and the destroyed village of Dawaima, the scene of the wartime massacre in October 1948, and bring to his office the next morning. To obey this order, Sid was forced to blow up a mosque. There's also the gang rape and execution of the Bedouin girl, captured by the IDF in the camp. According to the declassified document, 20 soldiers took part in the episode, including a platoon commander. All were court-martialed but given relatively low prison sentence in August 1949. There's also the Israeli secret commercial and military ties to apartheid South Africa, including sales of weapons and offers for nuclear warheads taken from a declassified South African document from the late 1940s to the 1980s. There's also the Baghdad bombings in 1950 to 51, was a series of false flag bombings of Jewish targets in Baghdad with the intention to encourage Iraqi Jews to immigrate to Israel. According to the Moscat, Meir Kirgizstein and Samuel Klausner, Ryan Al-Shafar, and Gelda Senpar, there is a wide consensus among Iraqi Jews that the Zionists were behind the bombings. This belief was shared among historian Abbas Shipla, the Iraqi Jew Naaman Giladi, the CIA agent Wilbur Gray, and the British embassy of Baghdad. When the Lavon Affair false flag operation 1944 broke out, Shama Gohin, Knesset Israel politician at the later stage, remarked, and I quote, "This method of operation was not invented for Egypt. It was tried before in Iraq." In 2006 publication, Sheshua Target, an Israel agent who operated Baghdad, confirmed Zionist involvement in the bombing. There's also the Kibiya massacre in 1953, where IDF troops under Ariel Sharon killed at least 69 Palestinian villagers. Two-thirds of them were women and children. 45 homes and schools and mosques were destroyed. The attack began with a mortar barrage and villages. IDF deployed the explosive charges to breach the barbed fence and mine walls to prevent Jordanian forces from intervening. At the same time, at least 55 mortar shells were fired into Budrus, neighboring villages. And before IDF troops simultaneously entered the village from three sides, Edward Strong wrote, and I quote, "The order was clear. Kiba was to be an example for everyone." Original documents show the sheriff personally ordered his troops to achieve maximum killing and damage to property, and post-operational reports speak of breaking into houses and clearing them with grenades and shootings. There's also the Lavon affair in 1954, a false flag operation where Egyptian Jews were recruited by Israeli military intelligence to plant bombs inside Egyptian, American, and British-owned civilian targets. Their foil plan was to plant the attacks on Muslim Brotherhood. There's also the Kaf Qasim massacre in 1956, where Israeli border police killed 49 Arabs, 19 women, 19 men, 6 women, and 23 children, and one unborn child, returning home from work during curfew they were unaware of. These involved in the massacre were found guilty but were pardoned and released from prison in a single year. The highest ranking official prosecutor for the massacre confessed before his death, and that the massacre was planned by ethnically cleansing Israeli Arabs from the region, and his trial was staged to protect Israeli political and military elites, including the Prime Minister Ben-Gurion, from taking responsibility for the massacre. There's also the Apollo affair in 1965, an incident where 200 to 600 pounds of highly enriched uranium disappeared from Nuclear Material and Equipment Corporation in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Highly suspected to have gone to Israel's nuclear program, particularly given to visit Rafi Eitan, was under the guise of the chemist, but later revealed as an Israel spy who was later involved in the Polar incident. There's also the USS Liberty in 1967, where Israel deliberately attacked an American cargo vessel, killing 34 people and wounding 174 without any persecution. The CIA documents still partially censored, and I quote, "But sir, it's an American ship. Never mind. Hit her." There's also the Rashtrov massacre in 1964, where 49 to 52 Egyptian prisoners of war were executed by the IDF during the Six-Day War. The mass grave was found in June 2000. A report was detailed confession of Israeli officers who witnessed the attack, including an IDF brigade general who admitted to killing 49 Egyptian prisoners of war in Sinai Desert in later interviews after retirement. There's also the Baqqa primary school bombing in 1970, where Israel Air Force bombed a school in Egypt, killing 46 children and wounded 50 others. While many Israeli officers consider it a human error, Moshe Dayan, the then defense minister, and Yosef Tegoa, then Israeli envoy of the UN, has constantly defended the bombing. There's also the Sabra and the Shatalia massacre in 1982, perpetrated by the Lebanese Christian militia or the Phalangists, which was under the political and military control of Israel. For 3 days, they engaged in rape, murder, and mutilation of women and children with the knowledge of the IDF troops surrounding the refugee camps. The Israeli forces fired flares into the night sky to eliminate the darkness for the Phalangists, allowing reinforcements to enter the area on the second day of the massacre and provide bulldozers that were used to dispose of the bodies of many victims. Estimated count around 2,000 to 3,500. Ariel Sharon was held responsible for the massacre, but was still voted as a PM of Israel in 2001. Janet Lee Stevens, an American journalist, wrote to her husband, Dr. Franklin, after visiting the villages immediately after the massacre. And I quote, "I saw dead women in their houses with their skirts out to their waists and their legs spread apart. Thousands of young men shot after being lined up against an alley wall. Children with their throats slit, and a pregnant woman with her stomach chopped open, her eyes still wide and open, her blackened face silently screaming horror. Countless babies and toddlers who had been stabbed or ripped apart, who had been thrown into garbage piles." End quote. There's also the Jonathan Porter incident in 1984, where Israel handsomely rewarded an American intelligence officer in return for U.S. classified information. According to his handler, Rafi Eitan, a Mossad spy involved in the Polo affair, before Polo's capture, he had been warned that he was uncovered and that his given signal to leave the U.S. But instead, Polar, and I quote, "wandered around for 3 days. He had many opportunities to do what I told him and he didn't do it." After his release from prison in 2020, Porter and his wife immigrated to Israel. He was given a hero's arrival by Netanyahu upon his arrival after his flight in a private jet owned by Trump's Zionist mega donor Sheldon Adelson. In 2021, Porter, during an interview with Israeli Imo, when asked about his dual loyalty, he replied, "I'm sorry, we're Jews. If we were Jews, we will always have dual loyalty." He then suggested that young Jews should consider spying for Israel. There's also the Israeli former nuclear technician turned whistleblower was lured to Italy where Mossad drugged and abducted him back to Israel for the trial that was held secretly behind closed doors. He spent 80 years in prison, including more than 11 in solitary confinement. saying he suffered cruel and barbaric treatment at the hands of Israeli authorities while in prison because he was a Christian. After his release in 2004, he was subject to a broad array of very strict restrictions on his speech and movement in 1986. Sorry. In Operation Troyan in 1986, according to ex-Mossad agent in his book, Mossad instigated the U.S. bombing of Libya by planting a transmission device and impersonating as the Libyan government sending terrorist orders to his embassy around the world. There's also the Cape of Patriarch massacre in 1984. The American-Israeli settler Baruch Goldstein opened fire in Ibrahimi Mosque, killing 29, according to IDF, or 48, according to Palestinian witnesses, and wounding more than 125. Hundreds of Israelis gathered to honor the killer when he was buried. Conspiracy arose when people found out that IDF soldiers who were supposed to guard the mosque were present on the day of the attack. There's also the Ghana massacre in 1896. The IDF fired artillery shell at the UN compound where 800 Lebanese citizens were taking refugees. 106 were killed and 116 were injured, and four Fiji UN forces were also severely injured. There's also five Israeli workers for Israeli company Urban Movie were arrested on 9/11 after being seen documenting their own words during an Israeli interview and celebrating the attack on the World Trade Center. Owner of the company, Dominic Stover, fled to Israel after the incident. His name appeared on the May 2002 FBI suspected list among the FBI 9/11 hijackers and other suspected extremists. Israel had yet to extradite him as of 2001. New Zealand imposed diplomatic sanctions on Israel over an incident where two Australian-based Israelis who were allegedly working for Mossad attempted to fraudulently obtain New Zealand passport by claiming the identity of the disabled man. Two others are believed to have been the third and fourth men involved in the scandal, but they managed to leave New Zealand before being apprehended. The New Zealand Prime Minister viewed the incident as not only utterly unacceptable but also breach of UN sovereignty and international law. The following year, Israeli Foreign Minister apologized for the incident in 2004. The second Ghana massacre in 2006, airstrike carried out by the IDF on a building in Lebanon during the war. And 28 civilians were killed, out of which 16 were children. By investigating, IDF concluded there was in fact no rocket launch for Ghana the day of the deadly strike by IDF. There's also a CIA memo. Israeli Mossad posed a CIA agent to recruit terrorists to carry out false flag operations against Iran in 2007-2008. There's also Operation Gaslit in 2008 to 2009, estimating 1,391 Palestinians killed, 759 to be civilians, 344 to be children, and 110 to be women. 13 Israelis killed, out of which 10 are soldiers. Israel also admitted using white phosphorus during their military offensive. There's also the four Iranian nuclear scientists were assassinated, and another was seriously wounded in an attempt murder between 2010 and 2012. U.S. officials confirmed the terror group MEK was financed, trained, and armed by Israel in killing the nuclear scientists. In 2013, Israel awarded Geni Energy, American oil and gas company, rights to drill in Golan Heights, the Syrian-occupied territory, despite international opposition, including Israeli experts on international law. In 2015, Israel claimed a massive discovery of oil in the area, reportedly could supply the country's oil needs for many years to come. And there's also the Jenny massacre in 2002, with indiscriminate bombings and murder throughout the whole region. There's even a documentary about this. But the primary figures of these board advisors of Jenny Energy were Jacob Rothschild, Dick Cheney, Robert Murdoch, James Woodley, Laura Sommer, Bill Richardson, and Michael Stein. There's also the Operation Protected Edge in 2014, after the kidnapping and murder of three Israeli teens allegedly by Hamas, although opinions divided among Israeli security services on who was actually behind it. This disproportionate collective punishment is used against the people of Gaza. Estimated 2,104 Palestinians killed, including 1,462 civilians, of whom 495 were children and 253 women. 17,201 homes were destroyed or severely damaged, and more than 10,000 injured. They also did the arson attack in 2015. The Israeli settlers firebombed a Palestinian home, killing an 18-month-old baby and his parent, who succumbed to their third-degree burns weeks later. Their 4-year-old son, who suffered second and third-degree burns on more than 60% of his body, becomes the sole survivor of the attack. Graffiti left by the arson and revenge price tag Long Live the Messiah. Months after the incident, Israeli radicals celebrate wedding by stabbing photos of the 18-year-old Palestinian baby that was killed in the arson attack. In 2020, Netanyahu retweeted crowdfunding legal appeal for Israeli terrorists convicted of the arson attack. 2,000 senior Israeli rabbis have also issued a statement supporting the terrorists. And there's also a whole list of crimes related to sexual blackmail and predators of minors. In the Jewish Community Watch, Israel became a safe haven for pedophiles worldwide, according to the 2016 source. According to Ari Ben Mashel, an Israel ex-military intelligence officer and former military advisor, Jeffrey Epstein and Kishore Maxwell worked with Israeli intelligence to run a sexual blackmail enterprise for the purpose of entrapping powerful individuals and politicians in the United States and abroad. Former Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir also utilized Ghislaine Maxwell's father during his funeral, stating that he was done more for Israel than can today be said. Jeffrey Epstein also invested millions of dollars in Caribbean, an Israeli startup company in which former Israeli Prime Minister and current elected candidate Ehud Barak is controlling shareholders. There's also a photo show from former Prime Minister Ehud Barak entering Epstein's house. At a later stage, a woman came out saying Epstein forced her to have sex with the former Prime Minister Ehud Barak in 2019 and 2020. In newly uncovered photos taken on Epstein's island, Ghislaine Maxwell was seen covering with figurative rape suspected Jean-Luc Brunel, who gave Epstein three 12-year-old triplets as a birthday present. Epstein is known to have financed Brunel's modeling agency MC2. Epstein's private jet was also used by Brunel to see young girls in the U.S. In the photos, Brunel is seen wearing an Israeli army hat. A Maria Farmer, one of Epstein's victims, gave an interview with independent journalist Wendy Webb. In the interview, she talked about the sex ring and how Jewish supremacy played a major role. She mentioned how none of the mainstream media was willing to talk about it. Ala Deshwish, a pro-Israeli attorney who was also involved in the Epstein sex ring smeared her as an anti-Semitic for her statement. Dershowitz is well known for his defense team for Harvey Weinstein in 2018 and for the impeachment trial of Donald Trump in 2020 and 2029. He was a member of the legal defense team for Jeffrey Epstein and helped to negotiate a 2006 non-persecution agreement on Epstein's behalf. There's also child abuser Malcolm Leifer, wanted for 74 charges of sexual abuse, escaped from Australia to Israel. On October 2019, Jerusalem court released her in bail despite many opposition. The Israeli president refused to meet alleged victim on Michael Leifer during his visit to Australia. She also connected with Israel's former health minister in 2019. Due to public pressure, she was being extradited back to Australia in 2021. And how Jewish American pedophiles hide from justice in Israel in the CBS News in 2020. There's also racism and bigotry, like I mentioned before. If you're not a Ashkenazi Jew, you're not going to be respected. Like, for example, the declaration, the declassified document, Israel made sure Arabs could return to their villages in 2019. Israel politician tweeted a video of him shooting an Arab at the MP as a joke. Netanyahu party secretly hired 1,200 to illegally film Arabs voting. Netanyahu, Arab politicians in Israel want to destroy us all, according to his words. In Jerusalem, Archbishop Theodosio Hannah Sebastian, quote, Christians worldwide must reject Israel's occupation of Palestine. 2 weeks later, he was hospitalized after inhaling poisonous gas, and the gas canister were shot into his church in Jerusalem. There's Rafi Perez, a Israeli education minister, and I quote, intermarriage between Jews and non-Jews in the United States is like the second Holocaust. This is 2019. Hundreds of Israeli ultra-nationalists guarded by the riot police entered Al-Aqsa Mosque, intimidating Muslim worshippers. Israeli soccer team praised their Jerusalem's ultra-fan group La Familia post on Facebook they have no issue with the new signing Aid Muhammad says he's Christian, but they demanded him to change his name. Israel wanted to be in Africa, but to keep Africans out of Africa, according to the TRT World article. Israel's Supreme Court rules for Jewish settler group in the battle for church lands and asset in Christian quarter of Jerusalem. Israel to Portland, don't send sick or disabled Jews to Israel. We don't drive Arabs. Driver with Jerusalem-based taxi company refused to drive Jew brothers after hearing them speak Arabic. Israeli is the nation-state of Jews alone that they had to respond to TV stars saying Arabs are equal to citizens. The mosque in Jerusalem torched by Israeli settlers, vandalized by racist graffiti. Under no condition will we allow for the establishment of the Palestinian state or recognition of such a state, nor will we allow an inch of land to be turned over to the Arabs, says that, Naftali Bennett, Defense Minister of Israel, in 2020. Netanyahu Sr. added in a leaked recording, hate is what unites our camp. Lebanon explosion. Former Israeli member of the Knesset Mosque friendly on his Facebook page hailed the devastating explosion in Beirut as a gift from God in time for the Jewish festival. To Bath, in an interview with local radio, he said to hope Israel was responsible for the blast and that he was allowed to rejoice that it's happening in Beirut and not in Tel Aviv. In Jerusalem, Galashman Church, which enshrined a section of bedrock Christian belief Jesus said to have prayed and before his crucifixion, suffered damages after arson attempt by Israeli settlers in 2020. Israeli lawmaker Bedouin birthday in Israel is bomb that needs defusing. Israel movement to ride-sharing cab driver. I don't like to take the taxi with an Arab. Israeli ultra-Orthodox Rabbi Daniel Assen, known for his campaign against Christian polarization, is Israel said that COVID-19 vaccine can turn people gay. Ultra-Orthodox rioters clashed with Israeli police over COVID rules, proceeded to attack buses, and set fire to his bus because they thought he was an Arab. State-informed High Court Uganda Jews not eligible to immigrate to Israel despite having most of their conversion overseen by rabbis affiliated with the conservative movement. According to Israeli law of return, any person who was converted to Judaism by a recognized Jewish community is eligible to immigrate to Israel. And I quote, "You're all Arabs and Palestinians, not Israelis." Armed Israeli settlers harassed and shot Palestinians' family carrying Israeli ID for having a picnic in a public area. Later, IDF counsel told the family to leave. Appalled by Hebrew University, large percentage of Israeli youth hate Arabs and will support reckoning of their citizenship. Big group of Israeli chanting "Death to Arabs" and "We burn to Arabs tonight" in Jerusalem. The group later attacked Palestinians and injured many in 2021 in the Haaretz article. Israeli violating alleged unconscious man they believed to be Arab turns out he was Jewish in a Yahoo article in 2021. Listen to what these children from ultra-Orthodox private school are saying about Arabs and Palestinians. There's a bullshit video about racism. There's also the death to Arabs and many more deep-rooted racism checked during the Israeli East Jerusalem flag march in 2021. There's also this Israeli girl during the flag march, and I quote, "Soon the Messiah will come and all the Arabs will die and all the non-Jews will die," which is basically 99% of the population. Netanyahu ally Bezos Smollett, and I quote, "Arabs are here by mistake because Ben Gurion didn't finish the job that threw you out in 1948. He also called Arab lawmakers in Israel terror supporters and enemies. There's also more information, for example, a quote from Chomsky. "You take my water, burn my olive tree, destroy my house, take my job, steal my land, imprison my father, kill my mother, bombard my country, starve and humiliate us all, but I am to blame. I shot a rocket back." Again, there's so many of these. I will put all the information in the description if you want to see more. There's also the ninth president of Israel, Shimon Peres, applied for the Palestinian citizenship in 1943 after he arrived as a refugee in 1937. His signature appeared at the bottom of the publication, including the statement which declared, "I will be faithful and loyal to the government of Palestine." And that became the president of Israel. So there's about that. There's also Israeli Online Army, the JIDF. Israeli government is paying giveaway scholarship to students who fight internet battles and spread propaganda. And this is a 2013 article in BBC, USA Today, and the Huffington Post. App, there are apps funded by American billionaires show the other side where people defend Israel on social platforms to gain points. There's also testimony from Israeli whistleblowers. Ex-IDF veteran Era Fared said that he was a terrorist. Ex-IDF soldier Ito Galveston testified for monitoring people in Gaza. Another one soldier, Jehuda Shahu, during the French 24 interview, "We are terrorists." The Air Force the soldier Jonathan Shafari, and I quote, "My government and military are war criminals." The former head of Shin Bet, Avraham Shanmug, compares Israel's occupation to Nazi Germany's action in World War II toward the sketch, Poles, and Dutch. And former Israeli Education Minister Shomani Aleonoi, during an interview on Democracy Now, unequated criticism of Israel as anti-Semitic in 2002. I quote, "Well, it's trick. We always use it when somebody is criticizing Israel when we bring up the Holocaust. When in this country people are criticizing Israel, then they are anti-Semitic. And the organization is strong and has a lot of money, and the tie between Israel and the American Jewish establishment are very strong. They have the power, which is okay. They have talented people and they have power and money and the media and other things, and they're not ready to hear criticism. It's very easy to blame people who criticize certain acts of Israeli government as anti-Semitic and to bring up the Holocaust and the suffering of the Jewish people, and that should justify everything we do to the Palestinians. And there's Jewish professors and political scientists, Norman figures that speak against Israel at the University of Waterloo, which for the look at the description. I hope it works because for some reason it doesn't work for me currently. Jacob Shadow, a descendant of the iconic Zionist family son of the second prime minister of Israel, former parliament soldier and a former member of Shin Bet, and I quote, Israel was born insane by collaboration with a criminal country. The Jewish award-winning academic Noam Chomsky said, Israel action plans that are much worse than apartheid in South Africa. The historian Ila Pepe said in an interview in 1948, the Israeli committed ethnic cleansing against the Palestinians, and Israel has chosen to be racist apartheid state with U.S. support. Nine Holocaust survivors compared Israel's Zionist policy to those of the Nazis in the Labor briefing article. Holocaust survivor Dr. Hayo Meyer during an interview said Zionism has nothing to do with Judaism because Judaism, as I learned in the Reform movement, that is highly ethical, and so you cannot connect Zionism with highly ethical. You can only connect to the worst aggressive, oppressive, stealing, robbing with Zionism, but not highly ethical. Miko Pence, son of well-known Israeli general, quote, Israel is a racist, violent state that peddles enormous amounts of sophisticated weapons to the darkest regimes on earth. It holds thousands of political prisoners and denies people water, medical care, food, and even basic most freedom simply because they are Palestinians. The Holocaust survivor Dr. Kabul criticized Israel during an interview with Russell Brand. There's also Dr. Aloli, a former head of Israel Ministry of Foreign Affairs and ambassador to South Africa, and Ilya Baruch, a former Israeli ambassador to South Africa. And I quote, Israel is the sole sovereign power that operates in this land and systematically decriminalizes on the basis of nationality and ethnicity, such a reality as we saw ourselves apartheid. The social creation of Hamas. Often called Israeli former religious affairs official, Hamas, to my great regret, is Israel's creation. How Israel created Hamas. There's also a lot of sources of this. There's also a U.S. physician, Congressman Ron Paul. He said Hamas was encouraged started by Israel because they wanted Hamas to counteract Yasser Arafat, who was a socialist. And then there's Charles Freeman, a former U.S. ambassador to Saudi Arabia. Israel started Hamas. It was a project of Shin Bet, Israeli intelligence agency, where had a feeling they would use it to hem the PLO, or the Palestinian Liberation Organization. And there's also Robert reference in his book Devil's Game. In the beginning of 1967 to the late 1980s, Israel helped the Muslim Brotherhood establish itself in occupied territory. It assisted Hamid Yassin, the leader of the Brotherhood, in creating Hamas, banning its Islamist character would weaken the PLO. Shubert Shosen, son of Hamas co-founder, secretly worked as an Israeli spy on the ship Bed. There's also documentaries like The Lobby, a four-part documentary that investigated the influence of the Israeli lobby in the US and UK, including many undercover footages. There's Jenny Jenny, a documentary that has been banned in Israel, covering deadly clashes between Palestinian and the IDF in a refugee camp. There's also Killing Gaza, Stone Cold Killer, Gaza Fights for Freedom. You know, what do I deserve to do this? Or Divide and Conquer, or, there's so many of them, like this, there's so much. There's also apparently, allegedly, Israel harvesting organs from dead Palestinians and others without consent in the 1990s, related to two separate Israeli masterminds involved in illegal human organ transplantation, Levi Isaac Rosenberg in 2011 and Mohammed Harfer in 2008 to 2018. There's even an article about this by the FBI. The second Intifada, the 12-year-old boy shot dead, father severely injured. There's also a CNN article about this. There's also the Breaking the Silence, targeting civilians with grenades and machine guns during the second Intifada. Natu Hajo, now read like he's on camera, saying that the main thing is to strike them not once but several times. That the price they pay is unbearable. A large-scale attack of the Palestinian Authority causes them to fear that everything's about to collapse. America is something that you can easily maneuver and move in the right direction. Even if they say something so what, 80% of Americans support us. It's absurd. Netanyahu lied during his speech at the U.S. House of Representatives on Saddam Hussein weapons of mass destruction, which doesn't exist, in 2002 report. There's also the killing of Welsh award-winning filmmaker James Miller, and James and his translator Abdullah were wearing jackets and helmets marked TD when they approached IDF to identify themselves. Abdullah waved a big white flag while Miller used a flashlight to illuminate the flag. While the approaching, they shouted they were foreign journalists in both English and Arabic. before several shots were fired, one hitting James in the neck. The UK court ruled the incident as murder. The killing came after the IDF issued an order for soldiers to crack down on foreign peace activists. No soldier was indicted for the killing, even after a request from the Attorney General of England and Wales in 2003. There's also the peace activist Tom Horndon was shot in the head by the IDF sniper while he was helping Palestinian children flee from crossfire in Gaza. His killer was released from prison 2 years earlier of his 8-year sentence. There's Rachel Collier, an American activist who was run over by Israeli bulldozers destroying Palestinian homes in Gaza in 2003. And an IDF candidate who emptied his magazine on a 13-year-old girl said he would have done the same if she was 3 years old. He was not guilty. Multiple cases of Israeli illegal settlers harming Palestinian livestock, sulfurous gas and cluster bomb, which is illegal under international law, heavily used by Israel during the Lebanon war, and is used right now as we speak in Gaza. Israel captured in a hotel bombing. Former Israeli Foreign Minister Shmuel Ben-Ami, if I were a Palestinian, I would reject the Camp David, implying that Camp David suburb offered by Mubarak in 2000 was unreasonable. The Jewish National Fund charity owns 30% of the land in Israel and stipulated that only Jews can buy mortgages or lease their land. And also Conante, Palestinian human rights activist protester Asha Abu Ramma, arrested blindfolded and shot in the foot with rubber-coated metal bullet and point-blank range. The battalion commander and the soldier who carried out the order to choose Sharia was both charged with inappropriate conduct and relative light charges. Till this day, both were not jailed. The battalion commander who gave order was appointed as an IDF army trained in the future. The customized print dehumanizing Palestinian t-shirt ordered by the inserted IDF squad after they finished basic training. Some of the design features include one shot, two kills, with an image of a pregnant woman within a rifle's crosshair, an image of a soldier standing next to a young woman with bruises with slogan, bet you get raped, and an image of a child with a rifle's crosshair with a slogan, the smaller they are, the harder it is. The Israeli organization, quote, Israel owes billions of shekels to Palestinian workers in 2010. There's also Gaza Front Line, an IDF commander raided 6 civilian ships carrying humanitarian aid and construction material. 9 activists were killed and 10 Israeli commanders wounded. The history of using Palestinian captives as human shields. IDF also appealed to the decision to ban the use of human shield in 2010. Hagaya, Ignu, and Lenin, which operate against British government and Arabs in Palestine, using to hide weapons in synagogues, women's rooms, and kindergartners. Some Israeli criticize Hamas of doing today. IDF soldiers helped Palestinian teens have run from arguing with him at a checkpoint, breaking his nose. Israeli border police caught kicking a Palestinian child. Mary Gravna, Israeli Minister of Transportation, during a TV interview in 2012, said, and I quote, I am happy to be a fascist. A report Israel passed U.S. military technology to China. IDF social posted an Instagram pic of Palestine child in its rifle crosser. China is the second largest arms supplier to Israel. 4 boys playing soccer in an open beach bomb by Israeli warship, a later report in 2018 that revealed they were 2 missiles fired from IDF armed drone that actually killed the boys. Palestinian boy beaten up alive by Israeli settlers in 2014. Israel police officers savagely beat up a 50-year-old American boy a week after the boy's cousin was killed. They were not in jail for this. Israelis celebrating the bombing of Gaza. There is no school tomorrow. There is no children left in Gaza, and Gaza is a cemetery. In their words. Israeli cheering on Gaza bombing in 2014. IDF combat engineer brags on IG about killing children in 2014. Palestinian shot in the heart by Israeli police during protests. The IDF soldiers voluntarily assaulted and wrongfully arrested Palestinian shopkeepers as he was loading boxes. Israeli police caught on tape video Palestinian schoolboys in 2015. IDF video Palestinian man who told them to stop firing tear gas. And Ayala Shako, former Minister of Justice, in Facebook post in 2015, which received thousands of likes. And I quote, behind every terrorist stands thousands of men and women without whom they cannot engage in terrorism. They are all enemy combatants. Their blood shall be on all their heads. Now his include the mother of the mothers who sent them to hell with flowers and kisses. They should follow their sons, nothing will be more just. They will go as should the physical homes, which they raised their snakes. Otherwise, more like snakes will be raised there. They had to die. Their houses should be demolished so they cannot bear any more terrorists. They are all our enemies. With the blood should be on our hands. They also apply to the mothers of the dead terrorists. End quote. IDF caught on camera attacking for the journalist. Sher Everett, an Israeli economist, said 78% of Palestinian aid money ends up going to Israel. Many Palestinians, including children, are detained in Israeli prison without trial or charge. IDF soldiers throw a disabled man out of his wheelchair after he attempted to help an 14-year-old who was shot. IDF throws stun grenades at unarmed Palestinians talking outside of their home in 2016. IDF medic Ella Asarai filmed execution and decapitated Palestinian man who stabbed an IDF soldier after spending only 9 months in prison and showed no remorse. Ella is hailed as a hero of Israel with widespread support and living a luxurious life in Israel as of 2016. IDF soldiers laugh as Palestinian man is crushed at the gate in 2016. There's even a YouTube video about that, but I'm not sure it's still going to be on the link. Report Israel Repairment Structure, a EU-funded project in Palestine. At the IDF killing a 15-year-old Palestinian traveling home from a family outing. Former director of Mossad defended Israel providing aid to Al-Surra Front, an Al-Qaeda affiliate in Syria in 2016. Israel police have beat up armed Palestinian truck drivers and witnesses. Israeli former defense minister says ISIS fighters apologizing to Israel after mistakenly launching an attack on IDF. Refused to comment how they expressed their apology have since forgiven ISIS in 2017. Israel Saturday used loudspeakers at night to sexually harass Palestinian women and insult Islam. IDF soldiers stand by and does nothing. Brooke Goldstein, a director of the Lawfare Project involved in many lawsuits toward Palestinian activist group, declared to enthusiastic applause at the meeting of key Israel Army operatives in New York City. Why are we using the word Palestinian? There is no such thing as a Palestinian person. Israeli sees solar panel donated by Palestinian to Dutch government. A Palestinian 18-year-old girl dies after being run over by Israeli settler who fled the scene. Report of torture during custody from Palestinian held in prison without charge or trial. Sentenced to only 9 months after killing two unarmed Palestinian teens. Do you know that 97% of drinking water in Gaza under Israeli control is contaminated? The IDF also demanded an injured protester. Muhammad Yuba, a 15-year-old, was shot in the head while running away from the fences. Unarmed protesters holding flags shot by live bullets. Unarmed protesters shot in the head during another protest. Mentally disabled man shot in the head as he was walking away. IDF soldiers cheered as he shot an unarmed man in the head who was giving community service as punishment. Elderly man waving a flag and medic got shot at by a live round. Malik Rasad al-Nashar shot dead by an IDF soldier. No soldier was ever persecuted for the crime. IDF later posed a heavily edited video to mislead show that she was a human shield for Hamas and justify her death. Abdullah Shamali was shot while standing in the talking with his friends 700 meters away from the fences. A Canadian doctor was shot dead by IDF soldier in 2018, and I quote, "That son of a bitch, what a video. The IDF soldiers cheer after shooting unarmed Palestinians with live rounds." Israeli defense minister said the soldier deserved a medal in 2018. More incidents similar like that. Israeli border police threw stun grenade at a Palestinian couple and their infant babies that were fleeing. The IDF soldier assault paramedic they tend to the injured, shooting tear gas in Palestinian schools. Israeli senators beat a Palestinian farmer in front of his children in 2018 on the Haaretz article. Four-year-old child dies 4 days after being shot by the IDF during a protest in 2018. Muhammad Taimi, a 16-year-old who was shot in the head by Israeli forces, held in prison for 2 days without explanation, by the way. IDF setting an attack on Palestinian child. One soldier can be heard making fun of the child, saying, "Who's the coward now, huh?" Another soldier incited the dog further by saying, "Get him." Video surfaced when the Israeli politician Michael Ben-Ari tweeted, "Soldier taught the little terrorists a lesson. Every drinking terrorist who planned to harm our soldiers will learn that there's a price to be paid." Palestinian school children are able to get home after IDF closed all of the main gates to the neighborhood. Soldiers treated family members who keep requesting to open the gates. Also, the Gaza, the largest open-air prison in the world. Israel's Supreme Court rejected legal challenges of the military rule where soldiers can fire an unarmed protester. This is an Associated Press article, by the way. Most demonstrations shot by the IDF with live rounds are unarmed and not immediate vicinity in the pyramid fences. IDF edited out key footage of the Gaza business strike, which killed two Palestinian teenagers. And Mark Lamahel, fired from CNN after he called for the country to boycott and divest from Israel in a speech given for the UN International Day of Solidarity with Palestinian people. An unarmed Palestinian man fighting the earlier shot by ADF with a robot called a steel bullet as he walks away. Palestinian boy who was 7 years old, killed after being run over by Israeli settler who fled from the sea in 2019. IDF soldier became aggressive and assaulted the Palestinian man at the Reddy's village. Israeli senators attacked Israeli undercover police officers disguised as Palestinians in 2019. IDF admits they unintentionally killed Hamas members in Gaza, who was turning away Palestinians approaching the border fence in order to maintain understanding reached between Israel and Hamas. Each year, IDF arrests 1,000 Palestinian children, some under 13. Articles including IDF whistleblower testimony on the arrest, interrogation, abuse, and imprisonment of these children in 2019. Gaza medic shot dead by IDF in 2019. Director General Reporter Without Borders. When Israel shot these journalists, it was international. The journalists were clearly identified as journalists with cameras and jackets. IDF beating a blind and diabetic man on his bed in his home in 2019. Julian settlers arrested at the entering Church of Holy Sepulchre with a knife during Christmas Mass in 2019. IDF playing Palestinians for arson. Then a video emerged showing that it was Israel's settlers that was responsible. Illegal settlers filmed attacking Palestinian family. No arrests were made. IDF soldiers shoot blindfolded and handcuffed Palestinians trying to flee. Second soldier then pointed his gun to the group of bystanders, warning them to stay away or they also be shot. Israel to auction prefect classroom donated by EU to Palestinian school children. Israeli government finally admitted that the journalists who were beaten by IDF in 2015 didn't lead a riot. The IDF soldiers convicted of manslaughter, making his friend for beating a Palestinian suspect in custody. Israel remains silent on rising attacks against Palestinian by settlers in 2019. IDF admits to killing 8 Gaza family members. And the Palestinian lawmaker held in Israel jail for 2 years without any charge. Netanyahu vowed to annex West Bank. If re-elected, Israel soldiers take down Palestinian flag during playground opening in Shufak refugee camp. Malicious code developed by Israeli company and a subgroup use WhatsApp called the injected surveillance spyware on phones. Facebook busted Israeli-based effort to disrupt and influence elections in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. IDF social watch on 1,000 Israeli settlers throw rocks at Palestinians. Israel demolished resident buildings inside Palestinian-controlled territory because it is near the separating wall. Families living in the homes were forced to leave. Palestinians threw firecrackers at illegal settlers in East Jerusalem, so Jerusalem Councilman wants them shot. IDF assaults Palestinian farmers as excavators destroy their lands. IDF misidentified Palestinian security forces and wounded one officer in exchange. IDF soldiers critically wounded a territorial Palestinian to the head with live ammunition 100 meters away after protests dispersed. IDF soldiers assaulted a point gun and unarmed Palestinian father with his child. German journalist and author Dr. Julian Dohenhofer shot by Robert Coated steel bullet for peacefully raising a sign during the Great Return March. Netanyahu, who is facing charges for free corruption cases, is now Israeli's justice minister. After being forced to appoint a new justice minister due to corrupt probes, Netanyahu appointed Israel's first openly gay minister, Armin Ohana, from his own Likud party, who is a strong supporter and supports immunity from indictment of the PM. Later, Netanyahu said to tell Haredim that Armin Ohana was appointed only to woo LGBT voters. After Netanyahu's ultra-Orthodox ally vowed to oppose the newly appointed minister. Forced eviction of Palestinian families to make way for new settlers, double standards like Israeli court acquitted Jewish settler who said Jewish law prohibited killing soldiers who evicted settlements. IDF dismantled tent and fired tear gas at worshippers. Israeli right-winger settlers and settlers and students taunted and insulted Palestinians and Jewish protesters. IDF soldiers fatally shoot Palestinian man Muhammad Dar Udwan from behind as he was fleeing. Director of Human Rights Watch in Israel to be deported in 2019. Group of settlers throwing stones at Palestinian homes at the West Bank. IDF allows snipers to shoot key instigators with live rounds even they move away from the protest and are armed. Israel court evict Palestinian family from their home in occupied East Jerusalem. Let settlers take over. Videos of war crimes screen at UN Human Rights Council in 2019. The IDF harassed ambulances crew and demanded for their key with sound and gift calculate. Again, more crimes that you can count. That it gets worse and worse and worse. Israel is a fascist state, and we should support the liberation of Palestine.